Support for your public radio station comes from our members and from Mary Cariola Center, providing education and life skills solutions designed to empower individuals and the families of those with complex disabilities. Mary Cariola Center, transforming lives of people with disabilities. More at marycariola.org.
From WXXI News, this is Connections. I'm Raquel Stephen. From carnival costumes to the pulse of soca and reggae, from jerk chicken to calypso, compa, and steel pan, Rochester's Caribbean community is vibrant, growing, and proud. This year marks the 39th anniversary of CariFest, Rochester's signature celebration of Caribbean heritage, music, and unity. But beyond the flags, feathers, and flavors, CariFest tells a deeper story of migration, perseverance, and the richness of cultures that have shaped this city for over a century. Today, we're talking about the power of Caribbean culture in Rochester and beyond. We'll explore the history, the music, the meaning of Carnival, and what it means to celebrate multiculturalism at a time when immigrants and communities of color are still under threat. Joining me are two leaders who help make CariFest happen every year. Alan Prescott, he's the president of the Rochester West Indian Festival Organization, or RWIFO, and Kadia Donadel is their vice president and parade coordinator. Thank you guys for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
And I'm going to call you Baby Cat because that's why I know you as Baby Cat.
That's
right?
fine.
So Alan, I don't know who Alan is, but I hope Alan comes out today. And like always, we want to welcome our listeners to join us in this conversation. You can call us at 1-844-295-TALK. That's 1-844-295-8255. Or at 585-263-9994, or email us at connections@wxxi.org, or comment in the chat section in our YouTube channel. Now, this conversation is very near and dear to my heart. Being of Caribbean descent, being born in St. Lucia. I know a lot of people, our listeners know St. Lucia, very much a tourist attraction, and being raised in the U.S. Virgin Islands. I'm a Crucian, right? Kadia, I know you're a Saint-Tomian?
Yes.
You're a Saint-Tomian. So that's another, some of our listeners I know visited St. Thomas. That's another big tourist attraction. But St. Croix is the bigger island. Okay, so I'm the bigger sister here.
It's
okay.
all right.
So I want to talk about this topic, and I don't think we've discussed CariFest on Connections before. So I definitely wanted to use my platform to bring awareness to my culture and what's going on here locally when it comes to Caribbean culture. And Alan, I'll talk with an accent all throughout this show, guys. I'm telling my listeners right now, my accent will probably come out when I talk about the Caribbean. My accent naturally comes out. So Alan, what is your nationality? I don't think I know this.
I'm born and raised in Barbados, or as we were saying, Barbados as a Bajan.
You're a Bajan. I didn't know
want
you were
the
a
accent?
Bajan.
We can go
See,
there.
we're starting already. Okay, I didn't know you were a Bajan. Okay, so Alan, let's start with you. RWIFO has been around for more than 40 years, 42 years to be exact. What was the original vision behind the organization, and how has the Caribbean community grown in Rochester since then over time?
In speaking to the founders, right, back in 1983, they came together and they founded this organization. And back then, it was literally the vision of having a platform for all of us from across the Caribbean, all 32 countries, to come together under one umbrella and have festival while also taking the proceeds and the monies to support our own or to support the community, right? And a lot of the things that CariFest, or it's not CariFest, that RWIFO does outside of CariFest are the unsung actions that the founders put in place. Some of those things are pageant. We have a Miss CariFest pageant. We also have...
Really?
Yes.
When was this?
So the pageant hasn't happened because of the pandemic.
Okay.
A lot of stuff was shelved and we haven't rebuilt momentum on it.
Okay.
But that's one of the visions that we're looking at bringing back.
I want to say something before you proceed, right? Pageantry in the islands is such a big thing, okay? I grew up doing pageants. My mom made sure I was in pageants. That was the way you got on stage and you showcased your talent. And it's such a big thing in the island community. Wearing a crown is one of the most respected things in the Caribbean. So I just want to highlight how big pageantry is for us in the Caribbean.
It very much is.
Yeah.
And then another thing, I was a pageant. Another thing that we have the coat drive, and we have several annual things. But the biggest component of what they did was giving the power to the organization to enable the youth to proceed to college. One of our biggest parts or components of the Rochester West Indian Festival organization is taking the monies we raise from fundraising throughout the year, including the monies we raise at CARIFest, and we donate it back to college-bound students of Caribbean descent yearly,
yes.
annually. So we're part of the Urban League's Black Scholars Program, and the monies we raise for CARIFest, most of it goes to scholarship, and then we start over again.
So it's not all about partying. It's about giving back and making sure the next generation, you sustain the next generation of Caribbean.
The organization
Americans.
was never about partying.
Ooh.
It just so happened that there was a need at the time in 1983, which is still here, because all three of us in this room have been down there, and whether it's a working capacity or just a hanging out party, to bring together people with our heritage and our background from across the Caribbean in something that makes us feel like we're back at home, even though we're here in Rochester, New York, and Monroe County. And that's really what it is. Bring a little bit of what we grew up with, the pageantry, the revelry, the music, the food, the vibes, to Rochester, New York, put it right in the heart of downtown so that we can share it with our community and say, hey, this is where we're from, and we welcome everybody with open arms to join us.
Ooh, so can you tell us a little bit about, do you know a little bit about the Caribbean history here, and when did it develop? And I heard something about Ursula Simmons, a Jamaican, back in 1914. Do you know anything?
Miss Ursula Simmons is the first documented Caribbean immigrant in Rochester and Monroe County. She's of Jamaican descent. However, there's speculations that there were people here before that time that just didn't identify as being Caribbean. And since then, the community has grown dramatically over the years to we're in every form of work, or whatever you want to call it, in the city, whether it be elected officials. We've got politicians like Miss Rose Bonnick.
Yes.
We've got the list proceeds us, nurses, doctors, lawyers. Of course, you and I have been in this broadcast entertainment field for years.
Yes.
So whatever it is you think about it, we're here, to the point where Monroe County is now home to the second largest Caribbean population in the state of New York, outside of New York City.
See, I knew when I came here, I felt like home.
Yes.
Right? And I'm like, why does it feel like home so far away from home? And it's because a lot of Caribbean people made Rochester home. Do we know what it is about Rochester that makes Caribbean people just assimilate and like, hey, this feels like it should be the next biggest Caribbean melting pot?
I can't say I know what it is, but you got to think about how we are back home, and Kay can attest to this. If mom and dad go there, they're leaving us home to go make a better future.
Yes.
When they get themselves set up, what do? They reach back and say, okay, you come up, and then if they're good, they're going to bring their sister and their cousin and everybody, and eventually the whole family ends up here, and we start carrying forward our culture while we're also flourishing in Rochester, New York.
Yeah, and I want to touch on some big names of Caribbean people here in Rochester. I know you mentioned some, including myself. Garth Fagan. Garth Fagan is a well-known, when it comes to the arts, well-known
Tony
figure.
Award-winning choreographer.
Help me put some respect on Mr.
Jamaican
Garth Fagan's
descent.
name. Yes.
Don't do that to Garth, because I'm going to get the phone call.
Jerome Underwood. You know who
Yep.
that? Yep. Jerome.
He hails from Antigua and Barbuda. He is the current president of ABC. That may have changed, but
Yes,
Antigua
yes.
and Barbuda, definitely.
Yes. Oh, I didn't know we were playing trivia. Okay. One more name for you.
Go.
Lance Thomas. You know who that is?
Lance Thomas. I have not interacted with Lance, but I've heard of him, and I believe he's of Jamaican descent also.
Okay, all right. Well, Lance, how do you know? You know what? All right, you got it. You got it. You were 3 for 3. Lance Thomas, he's actually our chief financial officer here at WXXI. His daughter recently, I think in the Paris Olympics last year, she ran track for representing Jamaica.
You know how I know Lance?
Ooh.
You know how I know Lance? When we're finished, I'll go see Lance, and you'll see. Lance's father served as my mentor in college.
Wow.
Yes, Lance's father's name is Colin Thomas, a.k.a. Mr. Bill. He was the Caribbean music director at WITR for decades, and Mr. Bill helped me get through college at Rochester Institute of Technology.
That attests to like the Caribbean community being so small and close knit, right? We all know each other in some capacity. I want to talk about CARIFest, right, and the growth of CARIFest over 39 years. I know COVID kind of slowed things down, but what can you tell me about the growth? What has been like seeing CARIFest grow over these years? Kadia, if you want to join in. If you warmed up a little bit. I know you were a little bit nervous, but I know you probably warmed up because we're a family here.
I am. It is so inclusive of those that are not of Caribbean descent, because Rochester has this sense of family. Rochester has this sense of family. So within that, it's so pure and natural to see that how personal it can be and inclusive of everybody.
Yeah.
So throughout the years, we're growing. We want to get bigger, but it's just a joy to see us all come together.
Yeah.
Whether we're Caribbean or not, and just enjoy the heritage and learn about it.
Yeah, because even people that are not Caribbean enjoy our food,
Correct.
enjoy the music, and enjoy the vibe, right?
Correct.
I know we don't talk about party, but there's no party like a Caribbean party.
Absolutely.
Okay, and if you don't know what I'm talking about, you can join in. Kadia, as the parade coordinator,
Yes.
you've seen this up close. Let's talk about what Carnival means in the Caribbean tradition and how do you bring that spirit to Rochester?
So in the Caribbean tradition, Carnival is rooted more into liberation, right? So we go back to our enslaved Africans, which use, Carnival as a form of expression, politically and spiritually, right? So we have that here in Rochester where, what do I want to say? Where, with the beat of the drums and how we play mass and everything, we're bringing our expression out into the street, out for everybody to enjoy our heritage with us together, right? So we have that same spirit here in Rochester, but we're on a smaller scale, right? Because the parade is not as big that we would have it in our,
Homes, right?
Yes. So, but it's the same sense, and we're playing mass. Everybody's coming together. They're enjoying the carnival, and you can see the the smiles on the elders' faces, and there's a light bright shining in the youth's eyes.
Yeah.
And everybody is just like, once that rhythm hits, that first costume troupe starts to go up the street. Like, it brings that positive energy, that energy of home, that collectiveness. So, yeah, and it's just us celebrating our life loudly and proudly together.
Yeah. And is there anything, Rochester, I know is a smaller knit type carnival, but is there anything that you borrow from other like CARIFest celebrations? We have Caribana, which is probably just 2 hours away.
Right.
That's huge, right? Do you try to bring a little bit of the carnivals? How many carnivals have you been to other than?
I can't count.
Which one was the best one you've been to?
Home, St. Thomas.
Really?
I love-
Okay.
Yes.
I've never been to a St. Thomas Carnival. Okay, and it's just right up the street from me.
Yes.
I've never been to St. Thomas Carnival, but I see that's on my bucket list. I heard you clearing your throat here, Alan. So what's the best carnival you've been to?
I gotta say crop over. I have to say crop over. I can't get lynched. Crop over. But I've been to a long list from the UK all the way through the United States, all the way down to the Caribbean.
Yeah.
I've been to many.
And I know there's different states and cities within the states that do their carnival. Atlanta, Miami, Raleigh. I didn't even know Raleigh had one. Raleigh, Hollywood, California.
Connecticut.
Connecticut. This carnival spirit and culture is being formed in the states. Are they doing it the same? The ones that you've been to.
I can't say the same and I can't say different. Everybody has a different approach to it, and it really depends on the need of that particular city.
Yeah.
So Rochester, we have a unique need, and us as the festival organization, we try to cater to that when putting the festival and the parade together. However, I will say I see a lot of similarities in terms of the music, the foods, the cultural representations, and as Kay mentioned, the youth. Right. So a big part of the RWIFO and what I'm seeing with other organizations is that we're all trying to carry our culture forward by sharing it with the youth, not only our children but other youth in the city, so the culture doesn't die with us.
So what do you want to hope that the young, especially young Caribbean Americans, feel when they see or join the festivities, the parade? Kedia.
A mirror. I want them to see themselves bold, beautiful, powerful, where they are not afraid to celebrate their heritage loud and proud. That's what I want to see. And then for them to know that they are the ones to carry this forward for us. We're building a legacy here in Rochester, and we're writing our own chapter here in the history right here in Rochester when we hit these streets for Cari Fest and, things that we do outside of Cari Fest.
Yeah. Something we heard during we had some guests on for the Puerto Rican Festival last week, and something we heard was how important it is for young people to see their culture reflected publicly, not just at home, but out in the streets, at the park, through dance, food, and family. I imagine there's a similar feeling with Cari Fest, as Kedia mentioned. Is it intentional?
Yes, it's intentional. We have to know our roots, where we're come from, and and keep that, because that keeps us grounded, and we carry that on so that we never forget who we are and where we come from, and we're paying and honoring our ancestors. And once again, we're celebrating life loudly and proudly together.
Now, we can't talk about Caribbean culture without talking about music, okay? Now, let's talk about this lineup, because each year to me, the Cari Fest lineup makes my eyes open wide. Like, what? Okay, last year we had Serrani and from the Virgin Islands, Pumpa, right? And I was...
You're welcome.
Thank you
You're
very
welcome.
much. Thank you, VI, right? They can see me, VI.
Yeah, I feel
And we had Pumpa, and I felt... like you guys had me in mind. Thank you very much. I felt a little bit closer to home. But this year we have Sham and Moto.
Moto.
And Moto is St. Lucian.
Yes.
Yes.
I was born in St. Lucia. So I'm like, you guys just keep thinking about me over there.
You're welcome.
Let's talk about this lineup and what do you go through when choosing the artists? Because you have to consider the generations, you have to consider the music. What is the planning like when you're like, okay, yes, we're going to go with Sham, we're going to go with Moto?
All right, so first let me start by thanking the entertainment committee, right? Because we go through and list that starts at the year, right? It starts at the beginning of the year, and we just go through it and go through and go. So first, I got to thank Junior, got to thank Maestro, got to thank Horace Byfield.
Yeah.
Kay is an honorary member. Joan helps us from the background, and myself. But between the body of us, we look at what the need is in the market. We look at who has been here before, which is key. We try our hardest not to repeat an artist on Cari Fest within 5 to 10 years, right? So we go from there and we say, okay, what will be the draw based on the generational spread and the relative age of people around the city, right? Because at the end of the day, we're trying to raise money for scholarship, and then we apply that formula to who's available and who fits in our budget.
Yeah,
right.
That's important.
It is very important, because we don't want to break the bank and spend all of our money or over our allotted amount, because then on the back end we have no money to finance our other ventures, and we have no money to give to scholarship. So there's that fine juggling act of cost effectiveness versus what's going to appeal to the masses in Rochester. And then when you look at the difference in the artists, it's always been a mindset of the festival organization to not just have an artist that represents one Caribbean culture or genre of music. So that's why you get at least 2. In years past, you've had 3 or 4, right? But it's always to spread it out. And then there's some years where we have a dancehall artist versus a reggae artist, and vice versa. And well,
that's a whole nother topic. Dancehall versus reggae, right? That's a whole other
but
topic.
you've also got soca versus calypso, right? And then we've got a huge Haitian contingent that's steadily growing within the city of Rochester. And they approached me already and said, hey, we would like to see a compa artist on Cari Fest. So there's a lot of things in work. And it's really, when you look at the beautiful bridge behind you, it's really bridging the gap between the east side and the west side of that bridge.
Ooh. So I know intentionally what I've seen is that you definitely have a dancehall artist, right? Someone that's of that culture, and then there's either soca or calypso artists. Those two genres, would you say, are the most
Those are the
get
most
the people going?
those are the most prevalent ones to get the people going. But if you look at the music, it's really the beat, right? Some people may not understand the lyrics or what we're saying because a lot of the songs are recorded in our native accents, but they move to the beat, they sway to the beat, and they come to listen to the beat and get some good food,
Yeah.
right? And one of the things that's left out, or it's not necessarily mentioned as much, is we have implemented a pseudo sound clash in CariFest for the last couple of years, or the festival for the last couple of years, and this year we're having a generations clash. And part of what we've done is with the age groups is we've spread it out across 3 DJs. So we have 3 DJs representing from the 80s all the way up to the current.
Yes.
And each DJ has their year or their couple of years to represent. So I say that to say that there will be music for everybody there, right? And the artist may not perform it, but we also have DJs worked in and out of the performances that will do it. We've also got an African dance group, One by Africa.
African, yeah.
We've also got I Steel, the one-man steel pan, and we're still working on adding a couple of more things.
Wow.
Yep.
And this is August 9th.
This is August 9th.
And you're still working on adding more things.
Of course.
Just like a Caribbean person. Now, I want to talk about the food. We have to talk about the food, okay? What dishes can people expect to see at the festival?
Some of everything.
Everything.
Right? From the jerk. We having a roti, right? The
Roti, and that's of Trinidad, right?
Yep.
That's
Right.
native to Trinidad.
Yeah.
The jerk chicken, native to Jamaica.
Yes.
What do we have in the Virgin Islands, Kadia? I don't. What is? Do we have a national food? I don't know. Is it chicken leg and Johnny Cake?
I was about to say.
I would say
That's what it is.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
Chicken leg and Johnny Cake. What's going on in Barbados? What is your national food?
Our national dish?
Yeah.
Cuckoo and flying fish.
yeah?
That's an easy one.
Oh.
Flying fish will change your
You
life.
just love trivia. Like we should have prepared a whole segment on trivia for Alan right here.
Yes.
I will come back any day you want, Rocky. You know that. We can do this for about 2 or 3 hours straight.
What is your favorite Caribbean dish?
Anything that grandma cooks. That's the best way. And to say that we all grew up with that figure in our life. Some of us is a maternal figure, some of us is a paternal figure, and no matter what it is they cook, it just always has that unique standout taste. So anything that grandma cooks. Now, when you talk about Rochester, New York, I can't pick one restaurant over the other because we have a plethora of Caribbean restaurants scattered around the city and businesses, and they all provide their unique stamp on these traditional dishes. And a lot of them will be represented down at the festival site. For my people that are of American descent, their family migrated up from the South, they're welcome at CariFest too. And if they don't want necessarily the Caribbean food, the jerk chicken, the stewed chicken, that kind of stuff, we've got a couple of barbecue vendors in there. And last but not least, the most important part, for the children, Nancy has agreed to bring out the fried dough vehicle. So we will have Nancy's fried dough. Had to have something for the children.
So something for everyone
Yes,
there.
because-
And a lot of Americans love Caribbean food.
Yes.
They love jerk chicken. They love
oxtail.
the oxtails, right? They love Caribbean food. So this is definitely a place, and they love vacationing in the Caribbean, right? Because of the people. Can we talk about before we talk about Caribbean people, what is your favorite dish, Kadia?
I love fungi and
Oh.
boiled fish.
Oh, she took it way back. She took it way back.
Can we stop talking about food now? It is lunchtime.
Okay, so let's talk about the carnival costumes, right? And what goes into preparing carnival costumes. These are elaborate. What do we know about the history of carnival costumes?
What we know that it dates back to our African and European traditions. We know that our enslaved Africans they made their own masqueraders. They made their own costumes, and they used it as a form of cultural expression. And once again, it's also for political resistance and all that good stuff back then. And it's just a form of a way for us to express ourselves boldly, loudly, spiritually, politically.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's where it starts from, and it just has evolved.
Yeah. And don't get it twisted. It's expensive.
It
These
is
expensive. These costumes are definitely expensive, and they take
Absolutely.
a lot of time to prepare.
Yes.
How early do you start preparing the the costumes? I know each troupe, right? Each group that participates probably have their own hands-on into their creative control. But how
Right.
long does it
Normally,
take?
it would take, I would say, mass camps would start a year in advance, you know, and then it goes into them creating the theme and then sketching the design and hand making the costumes, as far as them buying the feathers and the rhinestones and all that good stuff that goes into making a costume. And, you know, they all gather together, like I said, in these mass camps where they work together and they also bonding together while they're doing it as one.
Yes. That is a great something to note. That's a great observation. Bonding, right?
Yes.
Because a lot of these camps, that's what they call them, camps where they sit in, they create these costumes. You are bonding.
Yes, it's not a one-man show.
Yeah.
You know, all hands on deck.
Yeah.
You know, to showcase our beautiful, bold colors that represent our island, our geography, you know, just us all together, our heritage, everything. So it tells a story in itself without a story actually being told.
Yeah. And I spent some money on some costumes because, you know, there's different tiers, right?
Yes.
You either want to be in the front.
Front line.
The front line, you have the more elaborate, extravagant costumes, which can cost thousands and thousands of dollars. And you could just have on your regular little
With an armband.
swimsuit, with an armband, and
Back.
be like a couple hundred. But these, because are you paying for the time, the material? What are you paying for when you pay these costumes?
So you know what? I'm going to toss Kay a football here, right?
Yeah.
Because one of Kay's visions, right, is to create mass camp in
Yes.
Rochester. She's
Yes.
being modest. One of her visions is to have a mass camp in Rochester, and part of us developing that as an organization is she also spearheads a costume making workshop that we have every year.
Yes, thank you. So with the costume making workshop, we started out where we just worked on a headpiece when we introduced it. So the participants was able to get an idea of, you know, how it all starts with. First, let me go back and say we were able to have one of the she's actually the leader for the mass camp, the Allure Carnival in
Toronto?
Yes,
Yeah.
in
Okay,
Toronto.
I think I heard about her coming. Yeah.
Miss Joan.
That's
Right?
good enough.
Joan or Joanne?
Joanne.
Joanne, sorry. And she came down and she led the class for us. And, you know, she talked about the history and, you know, how they started with the wire bending, because she did that ahead of time so that they understand that it takes time. So if she was to come down here and wire bend all of them, we wouldn't be able to get through that class in one day.
Yeah.
So they did that, and they decorated with feathers and all that stuff, and they made some beautiful headpieces. So the vision now is to continue that, where we're making a full costume from head to toe, arm pieces all the way down to the shoes. So, you know, we decorate the boots as well.
Yes,
You know,
yes.
so that's the vision, and just trying to coordinate that and teach, you know, Rochesterians, those who are not familiar with, you know, our culture, and, you know, what goes into them, why we do it, and the history behind it, and how much time and effort it takes. And it's not a one-man show. You know, everybody, all hands on deck. So that's always been my vision, to actually develop a mass camp that we, too, can also travel to different carnivals throughout the world and showcase us,
Yes.
you know?
Yes.
So,
And I know, and Carnival is not just the Caribbean, right?
No.
We have in Brazil.
Yes.
I've heard about the Brazilian Carnival.
beautiful.
Beautiful. That's on my bucket list as well. So what do you think is the most joyful part of the parade for you?
The most joyful part for me, I would say, is when that beat first truck and the music drop and the first group goes up that street, and the energy and the vibes that you get from that feeling of being in Carnival and just celebrating together. That's my most joyful part, when it's all put together and we're on our way up the road.
What's your most joyful part? Do you even participate in the parade, or are you busy planning?
So in years past, my participation has always been the DJ and the truck.
Yeah.
So my perspective on it is the other side of that. What makes me happy is to see everybody enjoying themselves as they're proceeding down Main Street.
Yeah.
Because I'm making sure that the beat is there, the vibes are there, everybody's having fun, they're jumping, they're reveling, they're enjoying themselves.
Ooh, we're going to take a quick little break. We're talking about CARIFest and all things Caribbean right here on WXXI News with the president and vice president of Rochester West Indian Festival Organization. Stay with us.
Public radio brings you the kind of enlightened discussions about local and world events that keep you informed. We rely on listeners like you to help pay for this kind of programming. And when you become a sustaining member of WXXI, your monthly gift helps keep this vital service strong for the whole community. Please make your gift at WXXI.org.
And we're back with WXXI Connections. We're talking about all things Caribbean here in this hour. And we're talking about CARIFest. And joining me in studio is Alan Prescott, the president of the Rochester West Indian Festival Organization. And Kadia Donadell is their vice president and parade coordinator. Now, guys, what does it mean to you personally to be Caribbean American in Rochester? Or do you even consider yourself Caribbean American?
Ladies first.
No, not really.
Yeah.
I don't. I mean, I am from U.S. Virgin Islands, so, it's
Where you
U.S.
at? Yeah.
territory, right?
Mhm.
But, my mother's from St. Kitts and
Okay.
Nevis. So, I consider myself Caribbean,
Mm.
My children now, I would say Caribbean American. But I just, being here, though, I carry the warmth, the resilience. I just take in what I can take in as far as the Caribbean community that's here, because it's a sense of family,
Yeah.
So it's just natural. It's pure for me to just feel very connected
Yeah.
to this area.
Yeah. Alan, what does it mean for you to be of Caribbean descent?
In Rochester or just in general?
Ooh, if you want to, we
So-
can go
so-
go both ways.
In general, it is an honor. Like, being from the Caribbean is its own unique thing within itself, and being able to bring that to the United States and share it with others that only see the beautiful islands on TV, that's a huge privilege. And just growing up there, it's a different way of life. Slower pace, a little less relaxed, but definitely a different way of life. We have fun, we work hard, and all of the above.
Right.
And then when you look at it from the perspective of being in Rochester, I mean, that's just shown in this room. We come together as family just because we're all from the Caribbean. And that family feel of being from the Caribbean or the West Indies in Rochester spreads far beyond this room. It spreads throughout the county.
Yes. Yeah. And I, a lot of people, when I first came to Rochester in 2005 for college, a lot of people asked, why would you leave?
Yeah.
If I had $1 for every time someone asked me, why would you leave the Virgin Islands and come to Rochester? And I don't know. But the thing is, in the Caribbean, the goal is to make it out, right? Because the United States is seen as this living that
Opportunity.
dream, the opportunity to do better, to make something of yourself, right? So being Caribbean for me is, I feel exotic. For lack of a
agree.
better word, you feel exotic. You feel like a rare species, and the warmth that we have, and the way that we celebrate our culture, right? And we're just different people. And people that visit the Caribbean, they're like, wow. The people, they always say the people.
Yeah.
They always talk about the food and the people.
Absolutely.
We're a little different. We're a little different. So, and I know you said, Kadia, that you have your son, right? Your daughter?
5
You have 5 kids
children. Yes.
born in the U.S.
Yes.
So so for the younger generation, especially for those born here, how do you see the Caribbean identity evolving? Are they losing it? Are you still trying to maintain it within your household, or are they, like we like to say, Americanized? Right, that's the term in the
Right.
Caribbean. You're so Americanized now. What are you seeing? Are you preserving that culture at home?
Yes, I am. Absolutely. Whether it's through music, food, just the history, learning about taking our visits to different islands, not just from where I'm from or where my mother is from. It's being preserved, and I see my children, they're enjoying it. They're loving it. They're like getting the best of both worlds. They're experiencing both worlds that many are not able to experience. And it's being preserved. It's being, a legacy is being built where they're going to carry that on.
Yeah. Yeah. And Alan, within your home, how are you preserving your culture?
You got to pay it forward. You got to pay it forward. If you don't share it, teach it, and show it to our children, they're not going to know it. They're going to know what they know in school. And then you also take the time out to take that trip. Hey, come on, let's go see where dad is from.
Yeah.
Let's go see where mom is from.
Yeah, not only when mommy and dad get upset and
Right.
the accent comes out,
Right.
Because
Well, that's
we have that gift to turn the accent on and off, and it usually comes out when we're upset. So while CARIFest is a joyful celebration, it also happens during a complicated moment in American life. Immigrants from Latin America and the Caribbean continue to face threats politically and socially. So this is also a time to reflect. Alan, I want to start with you. What does it mean to celebrate multiculturalism in today's political climate?
What does it mean to celebrate that? So I would say the celebration is more of a reminder that we are here and we've been contributing to the fabric of the United States of America since day one, right? And even though people separate Latin America from the Caribbean, really and truly, we do come together as one because we have our brothers and sisters that are of Latin descent from Puerto Rico to Dominican Republic, and I go down the list of countries that are part of the Caribbean, right? And they all show up for us, and in turn, we do the same and show up for them, right? So you mentioned the people from the Puerto Rican festival were here a couple of days ago, right? The president of the Puerto Rican festival is a very good friend of mine, and
Orlando.
we're always Orlando. We're always looking to bridge the gap between the two organizations.
Yes.
So I say all that to say celebrating multiculturalism is a joint effort amongst a lot of these organizations that you see doing their part to support our respective communities within the Rochester community.
Yeah. And I just want to, are you seeing new waves of immigrants from the Caribbean or Latin America in Rochester, and how are they being welcomed? Like,
It depends. So you have different levels or different tiers of that waves. You have the tier that come and they're looking for the assistance and the support, and we always have open arms. We're looking to help them. We're looking to get them assistance, stuff like that. We have people now like Rose Bonnick, again, that's moved up in the political arena. So we have those support systems in place that we can always assist. But then you have the other tier that, like you and I, came up just to go to college, right? And sometimes we just got to reach out and say, hey, by the way, you've got a functioning Caribbean organization here. One of our big programs is a Taste of Home. We partner with organizations like the Rochester Jamaican organization and other organizations to just reach out to the college campuses around here and say, hey, we just want the Caribbean students to come join us for dinner. They can break bread with us and get to know us, because that opens up the gate to us opening those support services like mentoring, tutoring, or hey, I'm having a hard time, or hey, I miss home. Hey, I'm trying to go home to see mommy for Christmas or something like that, those kind of things. So it's all a matter of supporting the community.
Yeah.
And that all ties together in the celebration of culturalism. You can't celebrate culturalism if you're at the same time letting it die.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. I know for me in college, having like a Caribbean organization in college made me feel a little bit more welcomed. So having those organizations definitely help starting at the different levels. What about like in elementary schools or high schools? Are we doing anything? We'll talk about that.
Good question.
Yeah. We'll talk about I can start that. It's okay. So as festivals are acting like a form of cultural resistance or empowerment during this time with the political climate.
Empowerment.
Yeah.
Empowerment.
So it's worth noting that these celebrations, from like the Puerto Rican Festival to CARIFest, are just cultural events. They're not just cultural events. They're statements. To me, they say we're not just surviving, we're thriving.
Yes.
What do they say for you?
For me, within the different organizations, it showcases. So we're all celebrating as one, right? But we all bring our own ingredient to it.
Yeah.
And it makes the pot even sweeter, you know? So for me, it just shows how elaborate we are. We may be different, but at the end of the day, we're all for the same thing culturally, and we're trying to set our legacy for everyone to see and continue. And that's with the youth moving forward.
Yeah. And I know we talk about the youth and we talk about the scholarships, right? And why is it so important for the RWIFO to invest in the youth? Why is this such a key part of your mission?
Because the youth are our future. You know, they are the ones that's gonna continuing when we're going honoring our ancestors, because we're going to be ancestors as well. But you know, and the history behind why we do what we do and why, you know, we are here and why we are so unique.
Yeah. You don't want any comment on that?
Pay it forward.
Yeah.
I kind of wrap it up in that you have to pay it forward. You have to get them involved young, make sure they understand it, and then sometimes that little nudge along the way to help them grow into the person that we see them becoming. For foster the potential,
Yes.
and eventually that potential will come back and help you.
Yes. So what do you hope this festival looks like in 10 years? I know you want your mass camp, Kadia. What are you hoping it looks like in 10 years when you're celebrating 49 years, going into your 50th year with our...
Like I'm back home or on one of these islands somewhere celebrating. That's what I hope it looks like, that we just expand to where people come from all walks of life, all over the world, to come and celebrate with us.
Yeah.
So in 50 years, I'd like to have this same conversation with you.
In 10 years. 50 years, I hope I'm around. But like in 10 years.
So in 10 years, I'd like to have the same conversation with you, and I would love to see CARIFest exponentially grow. Couple of days, we have the support and backing from all across the county and the city, and it's truly a sight to see. And like Kay mentioned, people are at that point traveling from around the world to say, okay, we've got to get to Rochester the second week of August for CARIFest,
Yes.
right? Or we went to Toronto, we're just going to stay in upstate New York or Toronto between Caribana and CARIFest.
Yeah. And if you go to New York City, Brooklyn has a heavy Caribbean population. Brooklyn is the Caribbean.
Yes.
Yep.
Right? When you visit places like this, what does it say to you about Rochester? Because we're the second most.
I'll start.
We have allegedly the second highest Caribbean population in New York.
It tells me that Rochester has the potential to grow to be a hub or a home to people of Caribbean descent, right? A second home to people in the state, right? We have the potential. And the good thing is we're close to the resources. We're close to Toronto. You know, Toronto has a huge population. So there's nothing but potential here in Rochester, New York, and Monroe County.
Yeah. And we have some of the best Caribbean foods, right? The best Jamaican.
Absolutely. Right here.
Yeah, right here. I want to mention something because there's a running joke that Jamaicans don't know how to cook mac and cheese. When it comes to food, I know you're trying to be politically correct.
So the good thing is I can't comment.
Who makes the best mac and cheese in the Caribbean? What island? Starting some tension here.
I'm gonna say mine.
Yes.
St. Thomas.
I'm going to sidestep this. So here's what I'm going to do. Bajan macaroni pie is the best.
Macaroni pie. What is macaroni
It is
pie?
a variation of macaroni cheese, and there's a lot more components than just the pasta and the cheese and the cream.
Yeah.
Like macaroni pie itself is a meal by itself.
Okay.
Right? You got some onions, some peppers, and I'll make you some.
Okay.
You can hold me to that.
A
since
lot of
this is
people. A lot
recorded.
of people come on this show and make promises to me.
See, Rocky, this is you and I.
Yeah.
I got you covered. I don't want you calling me saying, you owe me, so I got you covered.
Okay, so Kitty, I want to touch on something you said. You're hoping that people from all over,
Yes.
right, make this carnival or this festival, this Caribbean festival, something that they attend each year.
Yes.
Right. How do you approach making the festival welcoming for people who aren't from the Caribbean?
With open arms, they are come to the parade. Start out with the parade, right? And feel that energy, that vibe, and just join in, you know, and just know that you're welcome. Like I mean, I think for me it would show on my face, like, you're welcome.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
And for someone coming to the CARIFest for the first time, what should they not miss, Alan?
Any of it. Any of it. So let's talk about the parade, right? Why would you want to miss a parade that's starting on the corner of Main and Plymouth and we're heading east on Main Street? right? We are going almost the entire length of Main Street to East Avenue, right? You've got returning on Chestnut Street, and then we're going to MLK Park. That is a stretch that's going to be covered with music that the three of us love. So that's inviting and welcoming. That's open to anybody, right? It doesn't just have to be people of Caribbean descent. And then when you get to the park, you've got a great festival plan. You've got youth groups performing. We've also got our children's village, right? What the children's village is we set up a separate area for children with a tent, all of that stuff. And some of the key features is we teach them about Caribbean culture. We teach them about Caribbean history. And we all have children. So, you got to give the children something to do.
Yes.
We've got face painting in there this year. Plus, as an added bonus for us as parents, right? And Kay is the one that suggested this. We have free back to school backpacks with supplies in them for the children.
Ooh, Kay, talk about why implement this, right? This
And I
this
think
initiative.
I think
free
this
backpacks.
speaks for all, especially from Caribbean descent. Education is like key, number one in our household.
Woo.
Okay.
Tell me about it.
If-
I have PTSD just thinking about that with my mama.
I mean, we wasn't taught nothing but to learn that education before everything else.
Yes.
And that's what's going to carry us. That's what's going to lead us, and that's going to keep us grounded
Yes.
in who we are and where we're coming from.
Yes. I'll come home with a 99.
That's not enough.
Mom,
Right.
I got
not
a
enough.
99 on my test. Where's the extra one?
Mm-hmm.
I'm like,
Now-
what?
Now imagine that growing up in a family of teachers. Yeah, I had it rough.
Woo-hoo. Do you have a favorite like carnival memory from Rochester or any other island that you'll be willing to share? A favorite carnival memory?
I mean, I love carnival. That's my passion.
What
That's
do you
my
love
thing.
about carnival?
Just the people, just partying, just being around and bonding. Just the joy that we have celebrating together. That's what I love about it. I love Juve.
Ooh,
Juve is my
How
thing.
can we not talk about Juve? That is huge in the Caribbean. See, I just do woo. I'm such a Caribbean woman. So, for our listeners who don't know what Juve is, it's early morning
Yes.
early morning parade where people are dancing in the streets,
Yes.
usually behind a DJ or a live band.
Yes.
And it starts early morning, like 5 a.m, and you party in the streets for a few hours. A few hours. And you get people are throwing water at you, they're throwing paint, they're throwing
Beating
baby
iron.
powder, they're
Beating the pens, everything. You
Wow.
know. So, and then, after that, you probably go to the beach and soak,
And
go home,
yeah.
rest a little bit, and you're back at it again.
back at it again. What is your favorite carnival memory? Alan.
Playing mass as a child. Believe it or not, I was a child mass camp, all of the costumes, all of the above. Yeah.
Really?
It stuck with me.
And I want to say this. I didn't start playing mass until I was about 30, 29, 30 years old because my mom wouldn't let me do it. Because the older generation, I believe, especially they're very religious, see carnival as something that's demonic.
Right.
And a lot of older generation don't like what carnival has turned into. Right? Are you seeing this as well with the older generation or is it something that we've moved past?
I don't think we moved past it. We still have some of those from the older generation that just don't jive with carnival and what it has turned into. There's a good and bad to it, but carnival is carnival, and once you know the history and where it comes from, and the reason why we're having it, and I mean that's in itself is the joy. Like why be the Grinch?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. And the clothes get smaller and smaller each year. But I really had to put my foot down and rebel against mommy and say, no, I want to do this. I want to partake in this part of my culture. This is a significant. You can't be from the Caribbean and not participate in carnival.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's like you're missing something. How can you say that?
Right.
Before we sign off, Alan, tell people where and when they can join the festivities.
Where and when you can join the festivities, the parade. I'll let Kay talk about her parade. Go ahead. And then I'll take the rest.
Parade will be August 9th at the corner of Plymouth and West Main Street. It starts at 11 o'clock. Street closures will be about 10:30. We're heading, what is that?
East.
Up Main Street to East Ave. We're ending at the MLK Park. Parade is scheduled from 11 to 1. Hopefully we can stay the whole time.
Yeah.
I still have more participants looking to join the parade, so that'll be a great...
Is it growing?
Yes, and I want it to grow even more.
Yeah.
So we're getting there, but yes, please come join us. Parade Day, August 9th, Saturday, August 9th, 11 o'clock, the parade begins.
Ooh. And Alan, take us.
That's followed by the CARIFest Festival, celebrating the 39th anniversary. And we've got a list of performers. I mean, headliners are Sham Moto, I Steel, African Woomba. That door's open at 1 p.m. And I'm not going to say when, but I'm just going to say that the festival goes until about 8:30, you know.
Right.
So it's a full packed day. You've got great food, great entertainment. You've got something for the children. We've got a couple of political people that are going to come through and give their opening remarks and their speeches. We're also going to have representation there from the Rochester Fire Department and the Rochester Police Department. They've decided to come down and do some recruiting. A wide sampling of everything is going to be there. If you're looking for something Caribbean that day, it's going to be there. As a matter of fact, you've even got Damo D selling flags and stuff, and you can get your information at rwifo.org.
Yes, you have to bring your flag.
Yes.
All right, and I'll be there representing. To all our listeners, thank you so much for joining us. Please don't forget CARIFest, August 9th, celebrating the parade, and then we're moving it to MLK Park for all the entertainment. Thank you for joining us. Alan Prescott, Kadia Donadell. Appreciate you. VI Tilaida.